Hey everyone, Lisa Sabaniak here from lifelikeyoumeanit.com, coming to you live to talk about some more coping with anxiety strategies that you can use during this time or any time. Because let's face it, anxiety is a problem that every single person on this planet struggles with at some point or another. For most of us, it's a daily circumstance. It just is a matter of how great does that anxiety get, not a matter of whether or not you experience it. So today's coping technique is going to be a bit of a long-term one. So if you've been following along on my IGTV, or if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you've been following along my Coping with Anxiety Tips series that I've been doing every day, then you know that I have been giving you some strategies that you can use right now in this moment, but I'm also giving you strategies that you can use more long-term to help to shift the your mindset and shift the kind of mental chatter that's going on in your head so that you can shift your perspective. So what I would like to talk to you about today is facing what it is that you are trying to avoid. Now, within reason, because for some people, what will make them anxious is, something absolutely massive, that the thought of actually going up and doing that, like speaking in front of an audience of 1,000 people or an audience of even 20 people might be absolutely, death-defying anxiety that would come in. And not that you're in a position right now with coronavirus to stand in front of 20 people to talk, but there's a difference between the anxiety of, just doing some day-to-day activities versus the anxiety that will help you, if you can get over it, to be able to climb the corporate ladder or do really well at your job or, something along those lines. So that means that when I say go ahead and stop avoiding what it is that you're trying to avoid and face some of these things that are causing you anxiety. When I say within reason, I don't mean that we're not going to try to tackle all of these things. It just means that for some of you, depending on what's giving you the anxiety, you might have to break this into smaller chunks, right? So in teaching, we would call this like our chunkable materials, right? Having a ladder, basically, that we're going to climb each rung until we actually get to the top. So for example, if we take that speaking in front of an audience analogy that I was using, okay, you're not in a position of doing that, but maybe you're struggling going live. Maybe you would really like to go live and you really got a lot of anxiety around that, and that's really hindering you. Maybe it's hindering you personally because it's a great way for you to connect at this time during coronavirus. And maybe it's hindering you professionally for the obvious reasons of being able to connect with your audience. So just because you can't necessarily stand up right in front of somebody doesn't mean you don't have anxiety trying to reach out and getting your message heard. So to just say jump into it, go ahead and go live, it'll be no big deal, that might be so overwhelmingly anxiety driven that it just puts you up against a brick wall and you can't do that. So instead, what you could do is you could write out everything that you want to say so that you've got a really great plan. Right. And again, I'm using this just as an analogy, just to show you that you can break down this whole idea of going outside your comfort zone into steps that are more baby steps that help ease you in instead of taking this giant leap outside of your comfort zone and causing your fear and anxiety to go crazy. Right. So in this analogy, we are going to write out everything that we want to say. And then maybe for you, what you would really like to do is practice that over and over again in front of a mirror. And then maybe you want to practice it away from the mirror. And then maybe when you're ready, you want to practice it in front of one person. So if you're living alone right now or you're isolating alone, so maybe you go online with your best friend or your spouse or one of your children or somebody that you really trust and you know that they're going to make you feel quite comfortable, right? So you go online with them and you deliver the message that you want. Right. And you allow them to give you some tips and pointers of where they think that you could improve and what was really awesome. And okay, then you adjust, right? You say, okay, I feel not too bad about that. Maybe you feel like you need to practice a few more times. Maybe then you're going to expand it and say, okay, you know what? I would like to do this talk in front of somebody that I'm not quite as comfortable with. I still trust them. I trust their opinion, right? They're important to me in some way, but they're not my child or my partner or my best friend. So maybe it's your next door neighbor, right? So something like that. You go online, you do it kind of live, but just with them. And you keep doing this, building this up until eventually the whole talking about this, whatever topic it is you want to talk about, is no longer actually causing you to go out of your comfort zone. Your comfort zone has grown with you. So now it's actually quite comfortable to actually talk to people one-on-one about this. And so maybe you start to expand and talk to a couple of people until you're finally ready to take a leap. Yep, it's still going to be uncomfortable. It's still going to be potentially outside your comfort zone. But now it's just a little tiny step outside your comfort zone to actually hit record, go live on Insta or Facebook or YouTube or wherever it is that you would like to go live. Right? So you're building up to it. You are stopping the avoidance of doing it, but you're doing it in the steps that you need to, so that you are actually breaking down the wall of anxiety every step along the way, building your confidence, right? Maybe the first time that you do it, for example, in front of your best friend, you have all kinds of flubs that you make, right? You forget to say this and that. You're reading directly off the sheet or something like that, but you still did it. And you can feel proud of yourself. The sky didn't fall because you made those flubs, right? You wish that you would do it a bit better. So you take some notes, you ask for some constructive criticism, and you take all of those things on board, and then you practice again, right? And you do that as many times as you need to actually start to realize, you know what, I can actually do this. And it's not the end of the world if I'm not perfect at doing it. It actually works quite well if I make a couple of mistakes along the way, because I'm learning from that and I'm growing. And wow, if I look at the first time that I tried to do this, talking to my bestie, compared to now when I'm actually going live, whoa, it's like night and day. I'm talking like if I'm just talking to anybody else. I'm not reading off my page. I know my stuff. And you start to build that confidence up. It is a huge game changer. And I'm not trying to suggest that while you're going through this process, you don't have any anxiety at all. No, right? Anxiety is based on fear, and fear is something that we are never going to get rid of completely. It's always going to be there. So at some level, we're always going to have a little bit of anxiety, whether you want to just call that nerves or whether you want to call that anxiety, right? It doesn't really matter. It's just you taking the steps to actually do something that you really do want to do anyways, or you do recognize that you need to do it for some reason anyways, taking that step despite the anxiety, allowing those nerves to fuel you, right? But doing it in a comfortable and safe way, that even though you're going out of your comfort zone, you're not actually putting your own safety at risk. And of course, none of us are going to actually put our safety at risk, but that is really what a lot of us have fear about, is that we will be unsafe, right? That we won't be loved, we won't be accepted, we won't be respected. And so you're teaching yourself that actually, even when things go wrong, my bestie is telling me some tips that she thinks would really help me, but I'm still safe, I'm still respected, I'm still loved, and I'm still accepted, right? So you want to choose the people you're going to do this with, if you even need anybody to help you along this path. But if you do, you choose people that you know. Maybe you have a conversation with them beforehand to say, just so you know, I am feeling a little bit fragile with this. When I ask for your constructive criticism, I really need it to be very positive, and I really need a lot of reinforcement to let me know all the great things about what I've just practiced with you, along with the things that you think that I can change. But I need you to be really delicate about it. And let's face it, anybody that you are choosing to do this with, especially in the very beginning, are all going to know you well enough that they're going to show you the love and the respect that you deserve. And when you see that coming from other people, when you can feel that, even though you're not perfect and you don't feel like you have all the confidence in the world, it actually makes an incredible difference on how you choose to look at your anxiety and decide to push past it, rather than allow it to stop you from doing some of the things that you really want to do. So I hope you all enjoyed that. I enjoyed speaking to you today. Again, go on over to my IGTV and check out all of my series that I have there on coping with anxiety tips. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, I've got an entire playlist. And of course, on Facebook, you can go and search in my page for videos and see the entire series there. I think we're up to 15 or 16 videos now, which is fantastic. As always, I'd love to hear what's working for you. And I would love for you to tell me any tweaks that you are giving and any new things that I haven't talked about that you use on a regular basis and you love, you swear by them. So hi to everyone. Melissa, my friend, says, love your spirit, my friend. Thank you so much, darling. I miss you, miss your face. And thank you so much for everybody participating. Bless.